Hey everyone, welcome to week 11 of the college football season. My name is Mike Browning. I'm the host of College Football Road Trip at cfbroadtrip.com. I am coming off a mediocre 5-5 week last week, but I did successfully pick Florida over Georgia and Notre Dame over Clemson, so I'll count that as kind of a wash. This week, we already have a few SEC games postponed and canceled. The count's already at 4 games. We also have the Ohio State-Maryland game, which was a game I was planning on picking right now. That one was canceled as well. So we threw another game in there. Lots of things going on. Who knows what will happen the rest of this week as far as other games. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and get started on this week's picks. And we're going to start off with the ACC matchup. We have number 9 Miami traveling to Virginia Tech. What a loss for Virginia Tech last week. Blocking the field goal, running it back, only for it not to count because they had called a timeout. That made me miss that game last week. Thanks for that timeout. This week, Miami's going to be way too good. I think Virginia Tech is going to lose a little bit as far as the momentum and the will to want to play because of what happened last week. Miami's going to come in. They're going to play really well. They're going to dominate most of this game. Number 9, Miami will win over Virginia Tech. Next, let's go to a Sunbelt Fun Belt matchup. We have number 15, Coastal Carolina, traveling to Troy. Coastal Carolina, they have looked impressive all year. They had their first win of the season at Kansas, and everybody just said, well, it's Kansas. They were supposed to blow them out, but they have looked great all season long. That's going to continue again this week. They're going to go to Troy. They're going to win pretty handily in this game. Number 15, Coastal Carolina will win over Troy in Sun Belt play. Let's go to another ACC matchup. We have Wake Forest traveling to North Carolina. North Carolina had a couple really ugly losses a couple weeks ago. They came back last week. They looked really good. Wake Forest is a team that have beaten teams they're supposed to beat. They've lost the teams they're supposed to lose to. That's going to continue this week because North Carolina is supposed to win this game. They will win this game. North Carolina over Wake Forest in ACC play. Next, let's go to a Big 12 matchup. We have TCU traveling to West Virginia. West Virginia is a team that I thought would beat Texas last week. Texas ended up finding a way to pull away. This week, though, they're playing at home. They're playing against another team in TCU that's mediocre in the Big 12. In this type of matchup, I think West Virginia is a stronger team. Again, winning games they should win, losing games that they're supposed to lose. It will happen here. West Virginia will win. West Virginia over TCU in Big 12 play. Next, let's go to an ACC matchup with number 2, Notre Dame traveling to Boston College. Again, Notre Dame, I had winning over Clemson last week. That was because Clemson was down Trevor Lawrence. They're traveling to a decent Boston College team this week. Notre Dame tends to play better at home. They're on the road, but I still think they will have too much for Boston College this week. I have number 2, Notre Dame winning at Boston College. Now, let's go over to a Mountain West matchup. This is the matchup that I threw in with the Ohio State-Maryland game out of the way. We have Hawaii traveling to San Diego State. Both of these teams are pretty decent teams in Mountain West play, but we know in these types of games when Hawaii has to leave and go to the mainland for a game, they always seem to play down a notch because of all the travel associated with it. I think that's going to happen again this time around. I think San Diego State's going to have too much. I have San Diego State winning against Hawaii in Mountain West play. Next, let's go to an SEC matchup. We have Arkansas traveling to number 6, Florida. We know what happened with Florida winning at Jacksonville against Georgia last week. They looked pretty good in that matchup. Arkansas is a team that has pulled out 1 or 2 upsets this year and have been competitive in a couple others. I think that will kind of happen this time around. They'll be competitive against Florida, at least for the first half, until Florida finds a way to pull away in the third quarter. Florida still has a lot to play for as far as trying to make it to the SEC championship game. They will win this matchup to get one step closer to that championship game. We have number 6 Florida winning at home over Arkansas. Next, let's go to a Pac-12 matchup. We have number 11 Oregon traveling to Washington State. Oregon is a team that I thought would win pretty convincingly over Stanford last week, and they did. I think Stanford missing 4 field goals kind of made that scoring margin at the end a little bit bigger than I thought it probably should have been. Washington State came off a win last week against Oregon State. I don't think that means very much. Oregon State usually is not very competitive in Pac-12 football. So I think this week Oregon's definitely going to have too much for Washington State. I think they are going to end up pulling away at the end. Number 11 Oregon will win over Washington State in Pac-12 play. For our next matchup, we are going to the American Conference in what I think might be one of the best matchups of the week. We have number 19 SMU traveling to Tulsa. Tulsa is not ranked, but I think they've had one of the best seasons so far. The only loss is a close loss to Oklahoma State, who is a pretty decent team. SMU, I mean, they're ranked, but they've lost. I mean, they've had a couple close wins that probably should have been losses. I think playing at home, Tulsa has a lot to play for. I think Tulsa is much better than their unranked status gives them, and I think they're going to end up pulling out the win this week in a small upset. I have Tulsa winning at home over 19th ranked SMU in American play. And now let's go to a Big Ten matchup for our final matchup of the week. We have number 23 Northwestern traveling to Purdue. Both of these teams are undefeated in Big Ten play so far, although neither one of them have really played a very competitive schedule so far. Obviously, one of these teams have to win. One of these teams has to continue their undefeated season. And I'm going to go with the home team in this one, with, again, another small upset being that Northwestern is the ranked team. But I am picking Purdue to win this matchup. Purdue at home over 23rd ranked Northwestern. So those are our matchups this week. Again, not any ranked versus ranked matchups, which sometimes takes away. But again, that sometimes leads to upsets that you wouldn't see in any other weeks. Again, pay special attention to the SMU Tulsa matchups. That's my vote for matchup of the week. So go out, enjoy the matchups. Hopefully we'll see some really good games, and we'll talk to you again next week.